moving from city to city, because that's what football coaches do. They move from city to city for promotions. She was loyal to him. They had 2 sons. Came up to her and said, "I'm sorry, I need a divorce. I'm going to devote 100% of my time to the Dallas Cowboys." Therefore, he also treated his sons like third cousins. As Alonzo Highsmith said, for Jimmy Johnson, football is first, second, third, fourth, and there's nothing that's fifth. That brought the culture of Jimmy Johnson. He was crude. He had to be. But it could have been too crude. Came up one day, there was a player that was sleeping during film study. Jimmy came in, he was steaming. He was so upset. He turned around to the guy and said, "Get your playbook and get out of here." Not even concerned. He let him go. The guy had him and his wife just had a baby, and the newborn was keeping him up at nights. He was getting about 3 hours of sleep a night. He was just exhausted. But Jimmy Johnson didn't care. Football was it. Dallas Cowboys were it. If you weren't on board, you were gone. The Cowboys became successful after some work. Jimmy Johnson's first season was 1-15. Many people ask me, "Michael, you weren't so vocal back in those days." That's right. I was a fan. I just wasn't as vocal at 1-15. But all those rivalries let me know that we were 1-15. Things began to change. Second year, they were 7-9. And third year, they had a winning record and made the playoffs. How did they get so successful? They got free agents from other teams. But they came up with a coup. When they started, they had one great player, Herschel Walker. Minnesota Vikings wanted Herschel so bad because they needed one great player to get to the Super Bowl. Well, Minnesota ended up trading 11 players to Dallas for Herschel Walker. 11 players for one. It was a coup, but it helped build Dallas. It also destroyed Minnesota. 11 players for one. As Dallas became more successful, the players became the pride of the town of Dallas. Dallas is known for strip clubs and all kinds of activities. They would go to the Cowboy Cafe that was owned by some past Dallas Cowboy players. They would start drinking there, then they'd go to strip clubs, and eventually they went to a place called the White House. The White House, located at 115 Dorset Drive, the abode was initially rented under Alvin Harper, who was a wide receiver. Any hope of keeping things hush-hush was obliterated when the residents of the exclusively white, low-key community noticed their 6'4", 300-pound African-American neighbors escorting an endless convoy of nice-looking women in tight mini skirts. It was insisted that we didn't need prostitutes. Women would do anything for them. Drugs became a problem. It didn't matter. You didn't have to. You could just walk into the house. It was always unlocked. All the girls would come in and they would go to whichever particular place. So the White House was notorious. Michael Irvin, one of the wide receivers, got caught in a house with some drugs. His friend took the blame for him, and Irvin was not going to be prosecuted. But his arrogance became too much. Irvin skipped one scheduled grand jury appearance and arrived for another one sporting $500 sunglasses and distributing donuts to nearby reporters. The behavior would have been enough had Irvin not been wearing a black, full, floor-length mink coat. I remember saying to him, "You can't wear that sort of thing outfit in court." One of the attorneys said, Michael Irvin turned to him and said, "Jay, I've got a different audience than you." Then it dawned on him, it was all theater to him. Dallas eventually lost all their players. Players retired due to injuries. But I go back to 2007, when Michael Irvin was going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. He made his speech. He asked his sons, Michael 10, Elijah 8, to rise. The tears streamed from his eyes onto his cheeks when they nested like tiny ponds. "That's my heart right there," he said, pointing to his offspring. "That's my heart. When I'm out there threshing floor, I pray. I say, God, I've had my struggles, and I've made some bad decisions. But whatever you do, don't let me mess this up. I say, please, help me raise them for some young lady so they can be a better husband than I am. Help me raise them for the kids so they can be a better father than I am. And let me tell you, guys, to always do the right thing so you can be a better role model than Dad." Mr. Toastmaster.